Hello, I'm Damien Jones from H&H Classics. Just here today to give you a brief walk round of some of the cars that we have coming up and going under the hammer tomorrow, Wednesday the 30th. This in front of the rostrum is the 1973 Alpine Renault A110 Faza. Faza because it was made in Spain. It's a lovely machine that the current owner's had for 20 years, and during that time he's done a lot of sprints and hill climbs with it, but it remains a very well sorted and enjoyable fast road car. And to put the performance into modern terms, it has a similar power to weight ratio to a Lotus Elise. So this weighs about 700 kilos. The engine's guesstimated to be developing about 130 to 135 brake horsepower. So this is one classic sports car that can certainly give a modern a run for its money on a B road. We also have a good number of classic British cars. So we've got a couple of Austin 7s up here. The Austin 7 is obviously a perennial favourite because you have within the Austin 7 family everything from tractors through to single-seaters. These two are specials. The red car has been made to look like an Ulster, which is one of the most famous sporting Austin 7s. And this particular example's got a lovely patina to it. You can see it's got micro-blistered paint. It's just got a real bit of age to it. The yellow one next to it, that again is more of a simple special. It's been built for fun. So you can see it's on smaller diameter wheels. It's just been built up to enjoy fast road or light competition usage. We also have some incredibly rare cars here today. So we have a Césaire Berwick. Now that is probably the only one we're ever likely to offer for sale. It dates from right at the end of Césaire Berwick's existence, and as such has a lot of Austin influence because Herbert Austin became a director of the company late in 1922. And this is essentially an Austin 20 in drag. It's in much better coachwork, better appointments, but the running gear is Austin 20. So although it's a very, very obscure badge in terms of keeping it and using it and enjoying it, it's a comparatively simple thing to stay on top of. Next to it from the same stable is a Riley 9 Special, and this car has been very, very nicely done. I mean, you can look at it, you wouldn't have a problem believing that that was a factory catalogued model. So whoever's done the body has done an absolutely cracking job. There's been a huge amount of interest in this, unsurprisingly given the looks. And again, Riley 9s punch above their weight in terms of performance on a modern road. The little twin high-set camshaft engine is a real jewel, and it gives them usable performance on today's roads. Less usable, but definitely characterful, is this 1909 Renault AX. Now, obviously this is still eligible for things like the Veteran Car Club's Creepy Crawly run and a wonderful motoring pioneer, but just in lovely, lovely condition this. If we move on to the more modern side of things, we have a 1999 Aston Martin V8 Coupe. Now, they only made 101 of these. They were built with Ford's money, Ford's know-how, better quality control. This particular example has only ever been looked after by Aston Martin Works Service. So it's done 29,000 miles, but it is the nicest example we've encountered. It really is literally as good underneath as it is on top. So these are last of the hand-built V8 Astons before you move over towards the DB7 with a lot more Jaguar influence and things like this. So for many, these were the last normally aspirated hand-built Aston GTs, and they are becoming increasingly collectible. Next to it, we have a 1960 Mercedes-Benz 190 SL. Now this car was treated to a bare metal restoration about 9,000 miles ago, and these are just so stylish. So for many years, sort of dismissed as the little brother to the 300 SL, the W198 cars, but they are a gorgeous looking thing in their own right. And this car was restored in the 90s, and it's a testament to the quality of the work that you can see it's still a very sharp, very fresh thing. It's been MOT'd for the sale, on the button, ready to go, and you couldn't restore it for the guide price these days. That's in at 100 to 120,000. Next to it is an Aston Martin V8 Volante. This is one of 439 carburetor-fed Series 1 cars. It has been fully restored by Trinity Engineering, who are a marque specialist. That was done about 20 odd years ago. And when it was restored, they carry out a number of upgrades. So it's got a much more engaging, much more modern 4-speed automatic gearbox in it. It's had the suspension subtly lowered, which is why it sits better than these generally tend to. The Ronal alloy wheels are typical of a Prince of Wales spec car, as is the Nardi steering wheel. So it's just got a lovely feel to it and quite a few Prince of Wales touches. A genuine Prince of Wales, which would have a full fat Vantage engine, they're about £500,000 at the moment. So that at 140, 160 is really quite good value. Moving on next to it, we have a 1955 Ford Consul Mark I. Now this was kept by its first owner for the vast majority of its life, and when she died, bless her, she left it to the garage mechanic who'd looked after it. It's a very, very original car. It's done 40-odd thousand miles, and in terms of a preservation class or wanting to know what one of these was like in the 50s, it's a great step back in time. It also makes quite a contrast to the Lancia Flaminia that's next to it. The Lancia is from the same sort of era, but a world away in terms of engineering finesse. It's rumoured that even after Fiat took over control of Lancia, that Lancia's engineers would refuse to sit next to the Fiat engineers in the cafe, in the factory cafes. And the Flaminia is an evolution of the Aurelia. So it has the narrow angle V6 engine. These are beautifully engineered cars, and when they were new, they were seriously expensive. This, for example, would have been considerably more expensive in 1963 than an E-Type Jaguar. They are lovely things to drive, much underrated, very, very stylish car. We're fortunate enough to have two Bentley S1s in this sale. Bentley's archetypal 50s sports saloon. This particular example is a multiple Concours Award winner. In fact, it's so nice in here, I feel a little bit uncomfortable just because I feel a little bit of a fraud, but it is beautifully detailed. You can get a sense of just how expensive these vehicles were when new and just what sort of income you had to have to own one. You've got electric windows, which is a nice touch. You've got this beautiful dashboard with, in this instance, a kilometers per hour speedometer. So car quite possibly originally destined for use on the continent, reading up to 200 kilometers an hour, and also partly because this has been restored on the continent, as well as winning awards here in the UK. And it's unusual for one of these to be restored to this level. This car was literally taken back to the bare chassis and carefully built back up. So it's had a care and level of attention of detail put into the renovation that typically the final value of one of these cars wouldn't justify, but thankfully it's been done as a labour of love, and it's just a joy to behold. So here we are in the fast road section of the sale. This is an area dedicated to performance classics and more modern performance cars. And that is absolutely typified by this 1994 Toyota Supra 3-litre twin turbo. It's a UK supplied car. You can tell that because of the bonnet scoop. Japanese cars don't have that. It's only had 2 owners from new, and it's covered 27,000 miles. It is completely standard, which again is very, very unusual for one of these because they are so amenable to tuning. They're 320 odd brake as standard, but you can tune them up to easily double that using the stock internal engine components. So very rare to come across one that's not been modified, still got all its dealer stickers on it, dealer number plates, and as I say, only ever been looked after by 2 people. We've got in here a selection of AMG Mercedes. So we've got the SL55 AMG. These cars had the 5.5 litre V8 engine with a supercharger. They really were absolute monsters in terms of the performance, but very civilized too. So very much an iron fist and a velvet glove. Outside, we've got a couple more AMG Mercedes. We've got a C63, so the last of the normally aspirated V8s, and next to it a comparatively recent S63L, so that's got the 4-litre twin turbo V8. 2 very different approaches to developing 500 plus brake horsepower. We've got quite a few Porsche 996 series in this auction. This again, this generation of 911 is beginning to grow in status and in favour. For years and years, these were the black sheep of the 911 family, but now they've gained general acceptance because A, every 911's been water cooled for getting on for 25 years now, and B, because they are such great value for money. So All of these cars, if there's a 3.4 litre like this, or the later 3.6, you're looking at either 300 or 320 brake horsepower in a car that weighs a bit over 1,300 kilos. So in terms of smile per mile, they're a big hit. Next to it, we've got a complete icon, a Ford Escort Mark II RS 2000, and this one is believed to have been fitted in period with an X Series kit. It was supplied new in Germany, and since then, when it was restored more recently, it's been upgraded, so it's got a special engine and gearbox and whatever in it, but everything to put it back to standard should a new owner wish to. So the original Pinto engine and 4-speed box come with it. We've got, in terms of more modern performance, we've got a GP Works Mini Cooper. These are, again, a complete pocket rocket. 20 years ago, developing the kind of power that puts through the front wheels just would have been unthinkable. You'd have just been imagining torque steer, but advances in suspension and electronics controls have meant that this kind of car can put down the sort of performance that engineers just wouldn't have dreamt of not that long ago. If you're looking for one to use gently and put away, this SLK AMG, it's the 55 model. It's normally aspirated rather than the SL up there, but again, big power. But the special thing about this car is not just the colour, it's the fact it's done 5,000 miles from new, and it is just a little jewel. Tucked away in the corner, and certainly worth mentioning, is this Lotus Elite. Now, there are quite a few of these about, but this particular car was gifted by Colin Chapman to Mario Andretti while Mario Andretti was a Works Formula One driver. It was given to him in 1976, which is the first season that he won a Grand Prix, the Japanese Grand Prix, and 2 years before he became world champion. So that's why it's left-hand drive for Mario Andretti to use on the continent. It's got a great provenance that's been confirmed by members of Team Lotus. It needs a little bit of recommissioning, but that's a hell of a car for somebody. Here at H&H, we like the different, the unusual. So this 1918 Peugeot Type 1525 is the sole known example of its kind in the UK. And to be honest, there aren't many left in France either. It's of exactly the type that would have been used on the battlefields of World War I, with these solid rubber tyres that are incapable of picking up a puncture. And it would have been used as a workhorse for bringing equipment up to the front line, possibly taking people back from there. And it's just a wonderful thing to have survived for so long. It is in fully running order. We had it running here yesterday. So for somebody to use and enjoy and take to shows, it's just a great thing. It would go down a storm at the Dorset Steam Fair. Another one of the automotive unicorns we've got in this auction is this bell-sized Bradshaw. We believe there are only 2 left in existence. Now this one needs a little bit of work, as you can see, but fundamentally it's there. So side rails for the chassis are here, engine crankcases are there, wheels, tyres, bits for the back axle, running boards, and as you can see, the basis of the body, steering column and whatnot. So this would be a big and demanding project, but very worthwhile to bring back something which, if this isn't restored, will become unique. So it is a lovely thing and a huge project for somebody over winter, but one which should be very worthwhile. We've also got a good number of no reserve vehicles in this auction. So we've got this 1969 Mercedes-Benz 250 CE. This car has spent its entire life up until the last 6-7 months ago, north of the border in Scotland. That's where it was supplied new. As you can see, it's been repainted sometime in the comparatively recent past, but it has not been used on the road for 30 odd years. That's when its last MOT expired. So again, it's a project for somebody to take on, but these are very stylish pillarless coupes. If the 60s isn't quite your bag, how about the 1990s? This second generation Toyota MR2. The T-Bar, this again, no reserve. In terms of an up-and-coming classic, these Japanese sports cars have got a loyal following, and that seems to be increasing year on year. And this at no reserve is certainly an affordable entry, as is the MX-5 in front of it. Again, this is a limited edition Conran car, nicely presented. These are just such great fun to drive. The fact that they're quite ubiquitous makes people underrate them sometimes, but they are a very nicely engineered, practical car, which is also great fun. So highly recommended. So that was a brief snapshot of the 90 odd cars that we've got going under the hammer at 1 o'clock or from 1 o'clock on Wednesday the 30th. We're open for viewing tomorrow from 9 o'clock in the morning onwards, so please do come down. If you can't make it in person, you can bid via the telephone, leave a commission bid, or bid via our website. All of that's welcome. If you have any questions about any of the lots that we're offering, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, either on the telephone or via email, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. This is our final physical motorcar auction of 2022. Next year, 2023, is our 30th anniversary as a company, so we're very much looking forward to that. We'll be back here at the Pavilion Gardens 3 times next year, roughly in spring, summer, winter. So a great day, hopefully tomorrow, something for us all to look forward to. If you can join us, you'd be more than welcome.